So same type of thing if it was to say subtract, the opposite is add. And if it was to say divide, the opposite is multiply. So in our example problem, it's telling me to add. And the opposite of adding is subtract. So we're going to take away 4, and those cancel out. Whatever we do to one side, remember we have our equals, we have to do to the other side. So I have 10 minus 4, which gives me 6. And on this side, I still have n. So this one was pretty quick and easy. It was one step. N equals 6. We solved. We figured out what n was. We do need to step 4 though. Plug it back in and check. This is going to be really important as we get started to make sure we understand what's happening. So in place of n, I'm going to put a 6. So I'm going to just rewrite it down here. So the original equation was n plus 4 equals 10. So I'm going to plug it in, substitute. I'm going to say 6 plus 4, and does that equal 10? Yep, it worked. I know I have the right answer because it fit the equation. It made the equation true. All right, so we are going to do some practice together. I have some different operations happening, so we're going to try out some different ones. I'm going to have the first couple I'll show, and then I'm going to challenge you to pause the video at any time and try to get the answer before me and then check to see if it's right. So again, I do line down the equals. I'm going to do the opposite math equation. So then these would cancel out if I have positive 8 and negative 8. 22 minus 8 would give me 14. And I still have z. So z should be 14. Again, we're going to plug it back in and see if I have 14 plus 8. Does that equal 22? And it does. Check. All right, we're going to try another. So a line down the middle. Do the opposite. Instead of plus, I'm going to subtract. Subtract. I still have b. 30 minus 14. So b should equal 16. I'm going to plug it back in. If I had 16 plus 14, I would have 30. So it checks out. So line down the middle. They subtracted. The opposite of subtract is add. So I'm going to add 20. Add 20. I still have k. I'm going to go back and say, so in place of k, if I had 51 and I took away 20, would I have 31? Yep, that's true. All right, Sometimes you'll notice that the variable's on the other side. This one I did that. So this side I'm solving for j, and they subtracted 16, so I'm going to add 16, add 16. I still have, so these canceled out, I still have j. On this side I have 28. So it's similar to what we did before. I would just plug in for j and say, okay, I have 28, and I take away 16. 28 minus 16 would give me 12. Check. All right, here's a couple tricky ones. Remember, our operation for these is hidden. So if I have 8 smushed up against an x, I have a really small invisible times in there. And if I remember back, the opposite of times is divide. Step 1, line down the middle. Step 2, we're going to solve for the side we can actually solve. And I'm going to do the opposite. Instead of times, I'm going to divide by 8. Divide by 8. I still have s. 72 divided by 8. You should have gotten 9. I'm going to plug it back in and see, is 8 times 9. What do I get if I have 8 times 9? Should get 72. All right, our next practice one. Again, line down the middle. Invisible little times here. This x doesn't mean times. We're solving for x. So I divide by 6. Cancel out. Divide by 6. On this side, I still have x. This side, 48 divided by 6. My answer is 8. So if I plug it back in, 6 times 8 gives me 48. Next one. All right, our last 2 examples today. These ones, remember, line down the middle. And try to think of what operation are they doing here? What is this? This is divide. So it's something divided by 4. So we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to go in this space and say times 4. Those are going to cancel out. Times 4. So on this side I have t. 5 times 4. Count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20. So if we sub it back in, I should have 20 divided by 4. And 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. Okay, last example problem. I know your page is getting really full now. Line down the middle. So on this side, I'm going to times by 9, times by 9. This side I still have k. 3 times 9, 27. Plug it back in. If I had 27 divided by 9, I would have 3. That works. So the biggest thing to remember from today is that you just do the opposite symbol. So whenever they say times, you divide. Whenever they say subtract, you add. So you're going to do some practice on your own. The ones I have for you today on your own, you're again going to do line down the middle. Remember, they're squished together. There's an invisible times. So you are going to divide by 6. Divide by 6. You still have P equals 30 divided by 6 is, if you're not sure, go here. 5. The other thing for today is to make sure to plug it back in. So you might want to pick a different color to show that you went up here and you said, okay, 6 times 5, and that gave me 30. Check. So the first 4 are all multiply. The next ones, line down the middle, they divided by 8. So the opposite of divide, because remember this means divide, and this is supposed to be a Q. So Q divided by 8, we're going to do the opposite, times 8, times 8. This side I still have Q. 3 times 8 is, if you're not sure, sorry, you can kind of hear my dog sleeping in the background. I'll wake him up. 3 times 8, 24. So again, you're going to take a different color, plug it back in, and say, what happens if I have 24 divided by 8, and I should have 3. Check. This one is going to be a challenge one. I'm going to have you try, do your best. Your grade will be based off of these 8 up above that you submit today. This one's a challenge one at the bottom, but I encourage you to try it. I know sometimes it's harder when it's a word problem. When you are done with your page, make sure that you screenshot and submit that screenshot to Schoology. Okay? So put that screenshot into Schoology today when you are all done. And that's all that I'm asking for you today. I hope you have a good rest of your day and that you're hanging in there with this online learning. This is what's happening right now. I have my work stuff here, and there's my dog sleeping away while I teach math, making me jealous.